for. We're live on YouTube, guys.
Hello, you of Tube.
Where the fuck is Shopping Mall?
The review thing, I'm definitely calling it "Where the fuck is Shopping Mall." I think that'll really help bridge the gap.
Right here.
Found it.
So now I've got to do a review of the Shopping Mall Blu-ray for that.
Hey, Justin, is there a way for me to get another barn poster? Mine disappeared.
Yeah, sure.
Right after the con, after I got it, because I bought that $50 pack from you.
Yeah.
And you didn't even sign the poster or the.
By the way, this is why he invited you on the show to that, Justin.
No, I'll get you one, man. I'll get your address when we get off here, and I'll send you one.
I've already sunk like almost $80 into your movie, so I bought the mobile game too. So.
Oh, nice.
Oh, I don't want to talk to you about that.
Mobile.
For the barn. Okay, get out of here.
What are you talking about?
No,
this one. The one.
There's a game inside that you can play on the PC, but no, there's one for my phone too. It was like, what is it, like $2, something like that?
Yeah, it's not very expensive.
No, it's fun. Fun little side scroller.
Yeah.
So we're live on Facebook, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think he's running the trailers now.
Okay, cool.
So he's running the Barnes trailer, 1031's trailer, and then I'm Dreaming of a White Doomsday.
Why that movie?
Why are you playing that trash? Nobody wants to see that. I think Facebook is sick of hearing that name for a while.
So yeah, if anybody's watching on YouTube, this is how our Friday's going.
I'm pretty excited. I got a bunch of Star Wars stuff on the Xbox. Old Star Wars stuff. Yeah, we're live on Facebook, Justin, if you want to share it or anything like that.
Okay.
I have you tagged in it, Justin.
I just did it too.
God, I love this fucking 80s synth.
Dude, so before we start, any of you guys ever read that? You guys fans of J.R. Brookwater, like The Dead Next Door and Skinned Alive, Robot Ninja?
I actually just watched The Dead Next Door like a week ago.
The movie's phenomenal. Well, he republished his book about filmmaking in the 90s, and his new foreword, he basically says it's a cautionary tale of what not to do. I can't put this thing down. It's so horrifying to read, like, his career. It's so fun. Like, every bad decision possible, he made it. It's like, holy Christ.
I didn't realize that Sam Raimi was a quiet producer of that film.
Well, that's what half the book is about, is how he pissed off Sam Raimi and he put like $25 grand into that movie. He was not happy about it.
Yeah, the movie has a lot to be desired.
What movie was this?
The Dead Next Door. That was a huge influence on me as a kid. Like, I mean, it was shot on Super 8. Like, he was like 19 when he made it. Like, I think that's great. But...
And Bruce Campbell's voice was dubbed over on one of the cops, I think.
Mike, I'm going to add you to the intro. I just haven't gotten around to it yet. So I'm sorry.
We have an intro?
Yeah, I'm playing it right now and we'll be live in like 30 seconds.
Hair.
Here we go.
Oh, Brian, you already have a question. Are you going to do the midnight movies again?
Yeah, that lady can go away.
We should do a costumed episode. That would be fun. We could all wear something nice.
Why is it never playing this correctly?
All I have are Star Wars costumes.
I could wear my birthday costume.
Woo!
Yikes.
My birthday.
Oh, this intro, Brian. I see. Yeah, whenever you can. That's cool.
I'll be right. I got to change my shirt.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of THS Lives here tonight. My name is Brian Enright. You can follow me on Facebook at Brian Enright. You can also follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Horror Jew. All right. So up next, we got Jared Letourneau. Jared, good evening.
Good evening, boils and ghouls out there. You guys can follow me on Facebook at Jared Letourneau or in the Twitterverse at zombie_survivor. Back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Jared. Up next, we have award-winning director Mike Lombardo. Mike, good evening.
Oh, good evening, Brian. How are you? That's
Good.
great. Happy to hear it. You can find me at realsplatter.com. As always, that's real with 2 E's. Like a reel of film. See, it's a really clever pun. And you can also find me at facebook.com/realsplatter and twitter.com/realsplatter, but I'm never on. But you feel free to stalk me on there too. Back to you, Brian.
All right. Thank you very much, award-winning director Mike Lombardo. Always a pleasure. Up next, we have our president and Fuhrer, Ray Zor. Ray, good evening.
Hello, it's Ray. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm not going to give you the handle. Just find it. And on Facebook here, and that's it. Back to you, Ray.
All right. Thank you very much, Ray. As beautiful as ever. And, of course, we have our special guest of the evening, the one and only director of The Barn. Here he is, Justin Seaman. Justin, good evening.
Good evening, guys. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us tonight. We can't wait to talk about horror movies with you.
Thanks for having me.
Anytime, anytime. So, yeah, you had this little movie come out back in 2016 called The Barn. And you know what? I followed a bunch of Facebook pages such as like horror DVDs and Blu-ray collectors. In fact, when I started meeting with these guys here at the Horror Syndicate, they're like, have you seen The Barn? Have you seen the trailer for The Barn? The Barn, have you seen it? And then like I'm going on all these like horror DVD pages and they're like, you need to see this movie, The Barn. You need to buy this movie. And like everyone was talking about it. Everyone was buying the DVD and they're like, oh shit, the DVDs are sold out. What the hell are we gonna do now? There's no way we can live our lives anymore. Fuck. So, but I mean, I don't know if you've noticed. Probably you have with all the sales from like and people requesting to get the movie. Were you kind of shocked to see that you had such great reception to The Barn?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't know if anybody would ever buy it outside of our family and friends or people involved in the movie. So it was really nice when we did Indiegogo and we sold out on there and it went in demand and people just kept coming and buying it. And then all of a sudden we're putting it on our store and we're selling it on the store and then we're going to conventions and selling out. So it was, it far exceeded my expectations that, as far as sales went. And we sold out on there.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, you had a pretty good cast and everything. And, I feel like we talked about this before at NJ HorrorCon last year, where you kind of just jumped on right at the right time when retro was coming back, synthwave was coming back, and when everyone started getting interest in like that style of like Halloween 3.
Yeah.
Kind of like the way I noticed that your intro is very like Halloween 3 with the titles coming into your face. Is that any influence into your movie, The Barn?
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. When I was updating the script from like the storybooks from when I was a kid, that was the soundtrack I was constantly playing in the background while I was working in Final Draft. It was Halloween 3, and that you could just see the shot in the trailer where the kids are walking over the hill. That was directly from the cover of Halloween 3, and just it's a huge part of it, And it was and people gave Halloween 3 such hate because of Michael Myers not being in it, but I loved it for what it was, even back when I first saw it as a kid. So that was always a go-to Halloween film for me.
Yeah,
that's a great Halloween film. I mean, overall, more than Halloween is actually.
Disappointed that Michael Myers wasn't in The Barn because I thought that it was Halloween 4.
Oh.
But it was still good.
Yeah.
I love that shot over the hills. The first thing I did, I actually celebratorily punched myself in the leg and said, "Fuck, that's Season of the Witch." When I saw that, I was like,
Yeah, I mean,
there's a blurb on the next DVD release. One leg punch up by Mike.
but yeah, I mean, you have a very like a very awesome mix of like the VHS style from like back in the day, and it seemed like you've done everything that would remind someone of walking into a video store, because what we talk about here on Horror Syndicate all the time is walking to video rental stores and just picking the movie that had like the best box like art cover and taking it home, and just like that's how we discovered movies. And you've done everything to make that vision happen again. I have the Barn on VHS. Let me go grab that real quick. But look at this sexy beast that you have right here.
Yeah.
I haven't even opened it yet because I don't want to.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
You don't want your VCR to eat the tape. Come on.
True. Very
No,
true.
I don't want my VCR to eat anything. And it's even got your little signature back there.
Yeah.
I have VHS 41 out of 50.
Nice.
I am fucking blessed. Awesome. But yeah, like you have like you went for the whole, old school mantra. It's incredible. Do you get a lot of fans coming up to you and saying, "I really love this style. This is, reminds me so much of my childhood"?
Yeah, and I think that's that was the goal, because there was a lot of people when we first started making the movie. They were like, "Why are you trying to recreate an old '80s film? Like that's over. Do something new." Well, I wasn't this age in the '80s, so I couldn't have done that. And I wanted to make, I can't help it. I'm a huge fan of '80s horror films. I wanted to make my own. I wanted to be in the '80s. So I think there's a group of people that grew up with, my age or a little bit older, that also can appreciate that. It reminds them of when they were kids and they first, discovered watching these kind of movies. So, and that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do all the marketing as if it came out in the '80s, and people are collecting the stuff that they're finding like at these conventions now. Like that's why we did the vinyl and the VHS and the Nintendo like 8-bit style video game and board game and all that stuff, just to kind of make it feel like it was lost in time. And then somebody was like, "Hey, here's this movie we found in this vault and all this stuff that came along." That was the goal, and it worked. I mean, there's been a lot of people that I would say the people who get what I was trying to do, they appreciate it. Other people, if I sometimes get the movie's awful or it sucks, but they also say '80s horror films suck, so I don't know why they watched it.
Is this the millennial crowd?
Yeah. It's just, I'm surprised that it's found such an audience, but at the same time, I'm not surprised that there are people out there that don't like it.
It's everyone I've shown it to has just been blown away by it. You met my brother-in-law at the convention last year, and he hadn't seen it. He just bought it on the fly that night of Something Strange because you guys were working together.
Yeah, John.
That crazy ass movie too. But yeah, he went home immediately and watched it, and we both. I loved it from when I saw you were gracious enough to give us a screener, and I can't tell you how I watched that the first time, but I was laying in the bathtub, relaxing. I had my laptop on the toilet and I sit back and watch. I'm not gonna lie, that's what I did.
Yeah.
He
And I
was
was like,
lounging.
I was there.
It's cold, but I can't get out yet.
There, Mike. Who was there?
Yeah, everybody I've told about it that has watched it has really loved it. I don't know. I wanted to ask if you've had many bad reviews, because I haven't. I wouldn't see why.
I mean, there's been the only time there's like straight up hate for it is usually when people, they're just not fans of the films I was trying to emulate. So other than that, it's there's the acting sucked, or this. There's never been a complaint about the music. So that's one thing I'm like, yeah, music for sure. They'll say like the effects were bad, but you know what? We weren't trying to do like super realistic effects. We wanted to do stuff that was in the movies we saw, and over the top gore, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I gotta say well, first off, people with the reviews, like, people are dicks.
Yeah.
And, people, they see anything like that's popular enough, they're gonna start shitting on it just because they feel like they need to get one over on it. But I mean, it's definitely a niche audience. You know, it's just a rather large niche audience, which is great. And you guys get a fucking gold star for marketing because the board game and Nintendo stuff, like, I lost my shit when I saw all that. I was like, oh my God, you fucking nailed it. Like, but the actual point I was trying to get to was I actually completely fucking forgot what I was about to say. I just keep thinking about Ray watching this movie like in a fucking bathtub with a glass of wine. Oh, now I remember.
With a wet rag on his chest.
When you were talking about the effects,
Yeah.
what won me over, there's two things that won me over when I was watching the movie. The first was all of the paper Halloween decorations on the walls. Because the attention to detail, like period, like early 90s Halloween decor, which is a huge... Actually, you can't see it. I have the same skeleton on my bedroom door. I love that stuff, and I'm really big on set dressing with my own films and stuff, and that was something that I really, really admired, was the attention to detail with all that. And the animated electric effects on everything when the zombie or the monsters were hit, that is so fucking beautiful because you never see that anymore. Like the last time they did that was like 1993, and I miss it so much. And it's just oozing with affection from those old movies. Like you can tell you genuinely understood what made those movies great and loved them.
Yeah, thank you. That was one of the things after a screening, somebody who really wasn't into those kind of movies asked, so like, you think it would have been better without the shock effects over the monsters? And I was like, no.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm like, you know, that's how you know the monsters took damage. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it gave me an excuse to use it for, you know, in a movie. Like I always wanted that. I thought it was cool when you'd see that over the puzzle box and, you know, Hellraiser. And I remember Return of the Living Dead Part 2 when the zombies are in the water getting electrocuted, and you know, you just saw, you know, I just thought it's cheesy, but it's fun, you know.
Well, how else are you going to know they're getting electrocuted?
Exactly. Yeah.
You also had the colored light through the fog, reveal. Like that's very important to have the creatures come from like this the rafters, you know, shaking with the light coming through. Like classic stuff. Love it.
Thank you.
I was gonna mention too about the barn. I think I touched on it just a bit in the review I did initially when you gave us the screener. I thought your take on Halloween lore itself and the art or the act of trick-or-treating itself was kind of original. Like I really hadn't seen anybody's take on that in a movie. Mitchell Mussolino, am I pronouncing that right? I thought that was a really, really interesting addition to the movie. Like, how did you come up with those ideas? Because I honestly have never heard any of those.
No,
like,
I can't remember because it's all. I wrote the story in '93 when I was in 3rd grade, so it was just. I don't remember at the time why. I just know that, you know, at that moment, Goosebumps was really big, and I wanted to do my own, basically Goosebumps Monster Squad. And so I can't remember why I did those things, but I do remember that, like, I think it was like 2002 or 2003 when Trick or Treat came out, and the main character's name is Sam, and he has Halloween rules. I was like, fuck, like, you know, there it goes. Because when I make this movie, you know, and but I was like, it didn't. When it came time to finally make the movie, I didn't want to change his name. I didn't want to, you know, stray away from why, you know, the original origins of it. So, but I just always thought that it was cool to have a character that was so into Halloween, so obsessed, that there was actual rules he wanted to live that night by, you know, to just keep protected, and, you know, because he does believe that there's things out there. So that, you know, that's. But I can't remember why I did that. But I just know that it was in the storybook, and when I was writing the script, I just kept going back to the storybook as reference, you know, and I just tried to keep anything that could, you know, be updated and work for, you know, an older cast of actors as opposed to like 12-year-olds, you know, that it would still make sense.
I think that was one of my favorite parts about the character.
Oh yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, that's something. There was another movie we talked about where. Was it a movie or something else? Oh yeah, it was Inferno, Argento movie. How they went back to and they delved more into the mythos of the three mothers, and that's something maybe that's just me. I'm a history guy, and you know, your history of the barn and Halloween and everything. That's one of the things that really drew me in. And Sam as a character.
Yeah.
Plus, clever name for him.
Yeah. No, I mean, as far as like the mythos go for the creatures, I wanted to. I'm a fan of watching movies, and I sometimes like when it's, you don't know exactly where things came from or a backstory. But with these monsters, I wanted to explain where each one of them, what their goal was of being here, why they were here. They had a purpose, and and also that their purpose also kind of led to a way to find them. Which, if you watch the movie, you find out that there's certain places that they protect, and it's easier to take them on one by one as opposed to all three. So, and that's probably one of the biggest compliments I get from people, is the fact that there is a background story to the monsters and why they're here, and basically who they are and what their jobs are, in a sense.
The only thing that the movie is missing is a flashback in sepia tone of a warlock being buried alive in the corner. No, I love the backstory stuff. It's everything. Like I said, everything just rang very true to those types of old movies.
Yeah.
I really admired the attention to detail with that stuff.
Yeah.
It was very cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, and you had a couple celebrities in there. You had Linnea Quigley. You had Ari Lemon.
Yeah.
How did you manage that?
Well, I tried for Linnea very early on, and I couldn't get a hold of her. Like Zane, the DP, he had gone to a convention in Pittsburgh, and she was there. He talked to her. He told her, hey, we're working on this movie. The director has this part for that he wrote for you, because he thought it would be something different, but it'd be really nice to have you as like a cameo. And she was very interested, and she gave him the contact to her like representation. Mm-hmm. So I emailed the representation. Nobody responded. I got on Facebook. I found her page, and I guess it was like her fan page, and whoever was running that didn't respond. So we had to keep moving forward with the movie. So we just had somebody come in and to do it, so that when the movie was finished, we could actually put it out in the screenings and a premiere and all that. But Ari, we did the same thing. We were at a convention promoting the barn. We had just started shooting it, and he was there. And we went up to him, and I told him, I said, I think you would be perfect for this because of Zane. And Zane actually told me, he's like, dude, you should look at this guy. Because I really didn't. At first, we were looking at Doug Bradley, because he lives in Pittsburgh, so he was relatively close. And but the more we were looking into him, the more we're like, man, I don't know if he would want to act this goofy, or if it would be like beneath him,
too sticky.
Yeah. So when we met, we went talking to Ari, and we were telling about the character, and we're like, he's supposed to be like a former rock and roller, and he's kooky, and he was like, that's me. I'm your Dr. Brock. And there was like, Ari was like, man, so super quick. And he was, to me, probably one of the best casting decisions we made, because I feel like he was that guy. I think Ari is that guy. I think Ari is Dr. Rock. Like, the guy you see is pretty much who Ari is when he's not in front of a camera. He's just
That's awesome.
Even his small part in the movie, him in the gag reel was hilarious.
Oh yeah, he had a great time with my last name.
Yeah. Anybody else watched the gag reel? Because I watched it last week. It was fantastic.
Well, he was a blast. He was. We shot all of his stuff in one day. It was like a 12-hour day, but we had all those. Like when the show opens for the Rock Block, there's all these different like past show segments. But we had it like set up in rows before he got there. So we literally had him change his clothes and do this one, and move the camera over here and do this one. So we were able to shoot all of that. And then all the Indiegogo, he did our Indiegogo video with us, like a pitch video where he interviews me. So yeah, he was great. And then what happened was the movie finished, we premiered it, we started doing the festival circuit, and then somebody got back to me from Linnea's representation, and they were like, hey, we saw you tried to get a hold of us. Linnea's interested, how's the movie coming along? And we were done. But at that point, I was like, oh, man, I wanted her in it, but the movie was finished, but now I could get her. So I worked it out. I said, could we get her here for like a day, and I'll figure out a way to put her in the movie. So we actually, the set was gone. the Sam's garage set was gone. It was all taken down, and the building that we were in was gone as well. Like we couldn't get back into it like a sound stage. So I actually went to the college I attended, Robert Morris University in Pittsburgh, and they had like a little studio, and we went back in there over a weekend and we recreated the set. And I flew her up here. We brought her in, and then Mitch, who plays Sam, he came in and we shot their scenes over. That all of her shots, but we used the previous footage of all of Mitch's close-ups, and then we just kind of cut it back into the movie. So it sucks that she couldn't have been there initially, so she could have been there like when we shot the whole thing, but it worked out. And I got her up here, and Linnea is awesome. She's definitely one of those people, because I thought, she's been in so many movies, she's worked with so many people. Am I going to look like an ass? Like if I'm not like super professional and things aren't working? But no, such a genuine sweetheart of a person. And we've kept in contact pretty much every other day, because she's always asking me how my baby is and how my doing. And, we both love animals. So she's constantly sending me pictures of her animals, and I'm showing her pictures of my cats and dogs. But yeah, she's great. So I'm really looking forward to getting to if the opportunity comes up to do a sequel, to bring her back. And the reason for her and Ari's characters in the first movie is, if I had the chance to make the sequel, there's more story there, and that's why I wanted them initially in the first one. So it's not just cameos for the sake of cameos. There was more of what happens in this town when these children don't return. What's the consequences of Dr. Rock promoting this rock concert, for these kids to go away to, and they disappear? And also, what's the repercussions of a woman who wants a town to stop celebrating Halloween when if you don't celebrate, you're not protected? All that stuff.
Overzealous religious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to see more of that from her. I think that'd be a lot of fun to explore in a sequel. I wanted to ask, was the first trailer cut before her? Before she was available?
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing the first trailer maybe in 2015, I think.
Yeah.
I ran another site, and Buddy showed it to me. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
I was interested back then, but because I was thinking, I was like, I don't remember seeing her in the trailer, the original trailer.
Even after the second trailer came out, we hadn't shot her yet. We shot her stuff at like the end of July of 2016, and like the first or second week of August, we had our Miami premiere at Popcorn Frights, and she was in it. So that was the first cut with Linnea included, and she was in attendance because she lives in Miami, so she came to it. So that was nice. But yeah, she was it was like last minute, and then I put the movie out for sale in October. So she just came in, like I said, we were like done, So but it was nice, and it helped. Obviously it gave the movie more credibility, and and then like I said, moving forward now she's a part of it. So
it's funny you said about being not wanting to look like an ass because she's worked with so many people. That's something that always terrifies me, because people are like, oh, you could get so and so to cameo in something, and I'm like, I can't. Like, I grew up watching these people. Like, it's too intimidating. Was it scary having them on set?
Yes. Like for Ari, we wanted to, because we just had him that one day, and we knew there was a lot to do. But like I said, we had every station pre-lit, dressed. So when it was all said and done, he said it was one of the most professional sets he had been on as far as how much we covered in a short time.
Yeah.
When Linnea was there, we were in the studio in it was end of July, and they didn't have the air conditioning on, and she's in that huge dress, and it was drenched, and I was just like, oh, this woman's gonna hate me. And I felt constantly like I was not, I felt nervous from the get-go. But no, she never complained or anything, and she made it very easy. She just kept saying, like, she did all her falls on the ground, because we brought like a mat in. We thought she's got to land something. She's like, no, I don't care, and she fell and fell and fell and fell. Like, she's so into it, and she's one of those people that doesn't care. Like, I don't think she looks at you and says, you've made 10, 20 movies, or this is your first movie, or you know, you have a budget of 100,000 or you have a budget of 1,000. Like she just is a person who likes to be in that, just in that atmosphere of making, you know, making films. And so I was very pleasantly surprised and blessed having those two. So I could walk away and be like, I think I've made great connections. I've made some friendships with these people. I would definitely recommend them to anybody, you know, if they're looking for people to put in their movies. And, you know, it made me feel more confident as a director. You know, it made me feel good.
Very cool.
How long was Linnea on for? How many days did you have her for?
Just one day.
One day.
Yeah, we flew her up on a Thursday. We filmed on a Friday, and we sent her back on the Saturday morning.
Send her back. Send her back.
Renegade filmmaker.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, I thought I saw every Linnea Quigley movie, and I've only heard about it because Perturbator made the song Linnea Quigley's Horror Workout. So I listened to the song, and I was just like later on I found out it was an actual movie.
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit. So I went to NJ HorrorCon, and I discovered this gem. And I actually had Linnea sign it. It was on where my wife and I met you.
Yeah.
And I pulled this out for her to sign it. She's like, "Oh, you're really going to enjoy this one." And I was like, "All right." So my wife and I got home and we watched the movie, and like we're just like,
Yeah.
"What's going on?" You know, it was really cool because she was like really like ecstatic to talk about like that the horror workout, and I know that she adored the barn because during the screening, like after the movie was over, you were telling me that she pretty much routed up the crowd to start asking questions about the barn.
Yeah, because it was really it was very, very quiet. And we felt kind of stupid because it was a really late show and there was maybe like 15 people in there. And nobody was asking questions. She's like, "Come on, they're here, ask them questions." And then when she did that, like they did, and everybody started asking questions. And it was probably the best Q&A we had with a group of people because this person would ask a question and this person had to follow up on top of it. And it was really, really nice. We were there for so long that finally the people in charge were like, "Hey, you guys are going to have to go out into the lobby because we're done in here," you know? So yeah, it was she told me, she said, I'll work in films if I think that they're going to be worthy, you know, of being in it. She goes, but when it's all said and done, I can't promote a movie to the public if I don't think it's good, because I just feel like I'm lying to people and I can't tell them to buy it. She's like, but thankfully I really love your movie, so that's not a problem. And I'm like, that's
That's awesome.
yeah. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Q&As like that are tough too. Late shows, man. Especially at conventions, usually people show up drunk, and it's
Mm-hmm.
got some interesting ones.
Yeah, we had one in Chicago, and it was Horror Society Presents. I'm trying to think what it was, how they called it, but it was a special screening, and Ari was there, and it was like a record store, and it was really cool. Like the back of this record store had like a bunch of couches, and it was very like just a hangout, you know. And we were so packed that we couldn't even go in and stand and wait like with them. Like, we just stood out in the record store itself and waited while they watched the movie, and it got tons of response. And we were like, this is really cool. So we went in, and everybody's having a good time asking questions. And then this woman stood up, and she's like, "I have a question." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, sure." And she goes, why did you make all the women in your film weak ass bitches?" And I was like, "What?" He's like, how come they have to all be saved by men?" And I'm like, I was like, what do you mean? I was like, the one girl, you know, she said she lives, you know, and she's like, I just don't understand why, you know, they have to be the damsel in distress. And I'm like, and I was just kind of like really trying to think what she was talking about. And Ari was like, did you watch the movies in the 80s? Do you know how this works? And she was one of the people that was like, well, I didn't like them then, and I don't like them now. And the whole crowd was like, then why are you here? Like,
Get out.
but yeah, man, it was me for real. And I was just like, it was a first. Like, that was the first time anybody ever attacked me. And there was one guy like on the floor in front of the couch. And when she started kind of doing her, like, you know, I'll tell you how it is, he was like, oh my God, here we go. And it was like, people, and then she got up and she got pissed and she left, and then everybody clapped, and it was nice. Yeah. I mean, that was great, you know, and it was great Q&A, but it was really awkward for that one moment because I'm like, I never, that wasn't my intention to make anybody feel like the girls were weak. It's just, you know, that's what happens in those movies, you know. And I wanted to do something different where instead of it being a final girl, it was the final guys, you know. So. Well, I thought I was doing something different for the 80s, but
I don't even think that the girls were weak per se. I mean, they're put in a situation where these monsters are coming out of nowhere for the most part and attacking them. I mean, even the first person to die was a dude, and it's. I mean, how many? There was what, 6 of them, 7 of them?
Yeah, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was only 2 girls, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I think that particular person just wanted to
was a social justice warrior, whatever.
Exactly. I feel like they just needed to fight. They wanted to fight. You know?
That's dumb.
It was really cool how Ari was kind of like, "You've been heard. That moving on." Like, he kind of just told her where to stick it. So it was nice.
There's always one. We did a screening of a short film, and this woman came up and berated us on stage for using too much language and violence. She's like, "You sound real smart talking like that," and all these people just staring at her like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Exit the theater to the left, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Were you filming or were you screening Chud too, Mike?
No, it was Long Pig, unfortunately. When I don't know if Justin, I don't know if you know this, but I directed Chud too, Bud the Chud.
Oh, you did?
No. if I did, I would never admit to it.
I wouldn't either.
Made it, so
I wouldn't admit to it either.
I would. That's a masterpiece. You called it pure cinema gold. Come on, Mike.
I used some choice words. I don't know if it was quite that. Yeah. That's what got that woman all riled up. Was my vocabulary discussing Chud 2.
What are you talking about, Mike? You directed a porno starring me called Bo the Chode.
Bo the Chode.
We have
Mike's a little crackly.
Joe Ridgely said, "Can Justin discuss any of his future / upcoming projects?" Is that something you could do, Justin?
Yeah. So, so we are wrapping up a horror anthology called Cryptids. He's actually Dane Hirschberger, who came onto the barn and became the final DP. It was a project he had started around the time I began the barn, and his crew kind of fell apart, and he got one of the stories done out of like the 7. Yeah. So when it was all said and done, and we did our convention circuit and film festival, I told Zane, I said, "Hey, let's go back and let's finish your movie since you helped me finish mine." So we went ahead and we shot. He wrote a story that I really liked called "The Beast of Bladenborough," and I shot that one. I directed it, and we're finishing that up right now. And we got a bunch of other filmmakers that we haven't announced yet that are actually, some have already finished them and some haven't. They're shooting them currently. So there's about 7 stories that all include different cryptic creatures like Bigfoot, Mothman, the Loveland Frog, Jersey Devil. So, and it all centers around a paranormal radio show where the topic of the night is people who've had cryptic encounters. And so each caller has a different story with a different creature, and so we should be premiering that this October. I mean, that's the goal. We really want to get it done and get it out. So that's what's going on right now. And then there's another project in the works for next summer that we're just kind of keeping quiet for now. But those, there's 2 in the pipeline.
It seems like there's a lot of indie horror anthologies coming out, which I think is really cool, with like Volumes of Blood and 1031.
Yeah,
it's cool because it's some new people coming in and others who can try their hand at making a horror short for the most part is what it is.
I mean, it's definitely nice getting to network with other filmmakers, and everybody gets to come together and make one project. But it can also be really difficult too, because you're depending on other other teams to get their stuff done and get them done in a certain time. And this would be our second anthology that we've worked on with people. Like Zane and I did segments for 1031, and we were doing that way. We were trying to do cryptids. So now we're trying to get cryptids done. So I think after cryptids, we're probably going to be done with anthologies for a while because we both want to focus on features again. Just because there's just as much work for shorts, doing stuff like that as there starts to get involved with a feature, and plus I know Zane wants to do a feature as well because he's basically been helping me do my stuff. So I want to make sure he gets to do that too. But yeah, it's been great, and there's a lot of anthologies starting to come out that I'm interested as a fan to see some of the stuff that's been coming around. And speaking of Volumes of Blood, I got the chance to work on Volumes of Blood 2, the horror story, and that was fun. And that's actually what led to me working with Cindy Maples in 1031 in my segment, The Old Hag.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
And that's the cool part,
What
working
segment
with
was yours in Horror Stories?
What's that?
What segment was yours from Horror Stories?
I did the one called The Death Day Party. Like, we didn't write our stories. I think Nathan Milliner, he's the only writer-director in that one. PJ wrote The Death Day Party, and I just came in and directed it. But I get to work with Johnny Holt, which he ended up being a director in 1031. He did the roller skate segment, Killing the Dance. And like I said, I met Cindy Maples and just met a lot of great people. So it was really cool getting a chance to go and work on another film set with other indie people.
That Day was the one with the old people, right?
Yeah.
That was the best one in that movie.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah. I should have known.
We actually had Milliner on our podcast a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's the end. It's the ending of that story that you like, right? The dude in the basement and the knife.
No, actually, the whole thing was pretty good.
Okay. Well, Rocky did the score for that, and when I read that story, my thought was, this story to me is like a cross of like The People Under the Stairs meets Parents.
Parents.
Awesome.
Yeah,
That's a really underrated movie.
Yeah, and like Tales from the Crypt. So when I told Rocky, I said, give me like one of those, like a strange like jazz type music to it, where it just feels just odd, it's an odd thing, because I that's the way I looked at that story. Even when I was editing, I was like, this seems like a very, very bizarre Tales from the Crypt episode, but I had a great time there. We shot that in 3 days, and really super professional group of individuals there. Very smooth shoot.
Yeah, the ending was great, but I like the way that anthology was set up. It wasn't too bad. I got to talk to PJ a little bit about it. I've been talking to him online a little bit. I met him at Horror Hound last year, and he was so timid and quiet. I didn't even know he had anything to do. I thought he was just selling DVDs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got to talk a little bit about horror stories, and I guess they're making another Volumes of Blood.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
I don't know if it's happening this year or what, but yeah. Jared said we had Milliner on 2 weeks ago, I guess, for Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th,
Yeah, he was. He did the first segment of that, I think, and then
he did
the wraparound, right?
He did Murder Death Killer, and he did the Christmas Story. The
Christmas Story was his.
Yeah, those two.
That was a good one too.
Justin, we have a comment from a Mitchell Mussolino. Ew, it's Justin. I heard this guy stinks.
Yeah.
Now, we're on Skype, so we can't smell you, but is this true? This is a Art Syndicate exclusive, but what do you smell like?
I've been told I smell like semen.
Now, are you talking the naval variety, or?
Yes.
Oh my God!
Crusty navel.
When you say navel, it could mean two things: the navel, or
Yeah. Thanks, Mitch. Mitch will not be returning in the barn part 2 if that happens.
That's a spoiler alert.
We also have Janet Swan said that your accent is making her homesick.
Aw.
Accent?
Is she from Pennsylvania?
Oh, you're from PA. That's right. Yeah, I'm in Lancaster, Pennsylvania.
Gonna go downtown.
Eat some pretzels.
Downtown, yeah. You gotta say yins. What's up, yins, guys?
There's a lot of people asking for VHS, Brian. You need to fix that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the VHS of the barn. It's available on the website, I believe.
TheBarnmerch.com. I'm going to say this now.
Oh,
So the next time people watch an episode on the Horror Syndicate Libs, this isn't VHS at Midnight. I don't know when VHS at Midnight's coming back. I haven't talked to VHS at Midnight. They've just been completely silent. So I don't know when that person's coming back.
Too bad you can't do a special screening of the barn.
But yeah. So what were the movies that that influenced you? I know that we have a movie in common.
yeah. That's Mike's favorite movie, right?
Yeah, Michael Marno loves this movie.
Great. Well, talk about it. Yeah, so my all-time favorite film is The Monster Squad. And,
Woo!
yeah, that's right. Wolfman's Got Nards, yeah, it was just a film that being a fan of the Universal monsters, seeing them go up against kids, I loved it. Because being a kid, I could relate to if I was in that situation, this is what I would want to do. But as far as horror films go, Night of the Demons is my favorite horror film. So that's why it was so important to me to get a chance to work with Linnea. Because I'm a super fan because of that and Return of the Living Dead.
God, that's another great Halloween film.
Yeah.
That's the fucking Halloween movie.
Right.
Fuck Michael Myers. Demons is the best Halloween movie.
It is. And so that was one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I was at the NJ HorrorCon last year because they did a Night of the Demons reunion.
Oh, yeah.
So I made sure I got my poster up there and got it all signed. And then actually last March they had a Monster Squad reunion, so I made sure I was at Horror Hound to get my stuff signed there. So it was very convenient that I was on the the convention circuit selling barn stuff, but I could be there to kind of be a fanboy too.
You weren't just selling barn stuff. You were networking, trying to get some of these people to be in your movies, like Andre.
That's right. Yeah. Yep.
Wheeling and dealing.
What's that?
Is it wheeling and dealing? It's the way to do it.
Yeah.
It feels like it could be a missed opportunity. He could have played Sam's father at this point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I know. I wish. But, no, I mean I've been talking to him. He's been a big supporter of the movie for us, and which I thought was so cool because he knew how much I love the Monster Squad. And I've actually been in contact with him discussing the possibility that if we were to do a sequel, of his involvement. So it's looking good if we get the funds to do a sequel.
Now, speaking of kid horror, what are your thoughts on the Clint Howard epic, The Ice Cream Man?
Oh yeah, dude, that's a fun movie. I mean, that's going back to talking about being in video stores. That was constantly a movie that I walked past and I saw the cover and I'm like, this movie could suck, but I really like this cover.
Oh, you're talking the bloody eyeball cover, or
yeah. Where it's all stacked up.
Yeah, that was the good one. That's the one I saw too.
Yeah. I will tell you one movie that tricked me with its cover, and there might be fans of it, was Evil Ed.
I have the Blu-ray behind me.
I was let down by that one.
Well, yeah. So when I saw it at first, I was pissed off, and then watching it as an adult, I actually love it because
I rented it one time. I turned it off about 20 minutes in, and I've never watched it again. So maybe
damn too gory for the silver screen warning, like headless eyes, and this is I hear you.
We'll be right back, guys.
So you had mentioned Goosebumps earlier too. Yeah. How big of an influence was Goosebumps on your horror origin story, so to speak? Yeah, your upbringing.
Huge. Well, very similar to the VHS, artwork. It was the covers of Goosebumps that made me want to actually take time to read a book because I just, they pulled me in, and it was great artwork. And I always found myself at the end of Goosebumps going, that was kind of dumb. Like just like it. The whole book, and at the very end, there's something stupid, but it was very much the inspiration of like making the barn in a sense. Like I wanted to make my own, 80s Goosebumps in a sense. And it was cool. That was cool. I think anything when I was growing up, I was immediately attracted to. If there was anything marketed to kids that was monsters, I was.
It was a good. We talked about this before on the show. It's a good time to be alive as a kid in the '90s, early '90s. Was a horror fan. Everything was slime and monsters, and it was good stuff.
Yeah, for sure.
the Goosebumps covers were basically exploitation
Guy in the
video
early
artwork for
90s.
children.
Yeah.
And it's but it's the same. Actually, we have a little nod to Say Cheese and Die, the cover of that in White Doomsday. That's one at a festival, and I was like, holy shit, you know Goosebumps? And then all these people got really excited and started talking about Goosebumps, and I'm like, this is great. And everyone talks about those damn covers. That's what I think is so cool about the barn artwork. So actually, that was my next question. Talk a little bit about working with Sadist Art, Mark Schoenbach.
Dude, Mark's awesome. So I'll tell you, here's the story of what happened. So originally I was going to have the dude designs do the poster.
Oh wow.
And I reached out, I can't remember I think I saw the poster for Legend of the Psychotic Forest Ranger, and I was like, this is really cool. And so I tracked him down, got in contact with him, and it was probably around when he was just becoming very well known.
Yeah.
And this was before we even shot the movie or anything. And I was like, I really want this guy to do the artwork. And so we started talking prices, and his prices were really expensive. Like it was like around $3,000 for a one sheet. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. But I didn't know any better. So I waited a while, and I came back to him, and I was like, you know what? I really love your work. Yeah, let's do it. Because he kept saying he only had like a certain amount of, he could only do like one a month basically. So he had like 12 a year. And then he just didn't respond to me. And then like the next thing I knew, he was doing posters for like 20th Century Fox for the Heat. And he did like this, there was something else. He just started getting a bunch of big companies.
Yeah, he blew up.
Yeah. So I was like, well, I'm small potatoes to this guy. So I ended up flipping through a Fangoria magazine one day, and I saw like a whole section dedicated to Schoenbach, and it was like, I think like Dead Man's Lake or Lake, something like that. And it was a bunch of different covers he did for films, and I was like, this guy's awesome, you know? So I went on the internet, tried to figure out who he was, how to get a hold of him, and then I finally did. And I think I actually came across the stall, was on one of his
for us, and White Doomsday as well.
Yeah, and trying to think, there was a few I think he did Tommy Faircloth's The Cabin.
Yep.
And he did Dorchester's Revenge and stuff like that. So I was just looking at all his work, and I was like, wow, this guy could definitely do what I want. So when I contacted him and we started talking, he was far more reasonable than the dude designs. Like I could definitely afford it, and he seemed genuinely, interested in what I had to do, because I told him, I said, I basically want it to be, in a sense, the Monster Squad poster, but I want the barn monsters above, the kids sitting around a campfire. And he knew exactly what I wanted. And we talked, and I just told him, I said, I can do a photo shoot. I'll do everything and just give you the exact references so that, whatever we want, it's there. So that's what we did. We did an entire photo shoot of the monsters reaching out certain ways and holding the weapons and all the actors around the campfire. And then it took him probably like 4 or 5 months or something to get it back to me, because he was getting slammed with work.
Blew up a lot too.
Yeah.
Well, I think actually hit up someone's interest. I think Thomas Hodge may actually be joining a live show. So when he comes on, you can be like, hey Tom, what's up, guy?
Yeah. Man, how come you never got back to me? But you know what? I'm glad the way it worked out.
Yeah, no.
Very, very happy.
Definitely, because your cover art is fucking amazing.
That's what put it on my radar for sure.
It's super iconic looking too. It gives you that feel of it. It looks like it came from 1989.
Yeah, and there was a lot of people early on that said, don't put money into the one sheet, because if you sell it to a distributor, they're just going to redo it. They're going to get rid of your shit. And but I was like, I have a certain idea of how I want this to look. And I will tell you what, that was the most well spent amount of money that I put into that movie, was that poster art, because it took it all over the internet, and everybody, once they saw that artwork, they knew what that movie was when the trailer came out, and and when they saw it at the conventions, they immediately could just go, oh, there's that movie. So that was well worth the cost.
Well, you gotta think of it too. Like when I did the stall poster and even the Doomsday poster, and I'm at conventions, I've sold so many 11x17s of that I've paid for the cost of that poster already. Just in that. It's like Mark's artwork. Everyone loves it. Like,
Who
it's,
would want a Doomsday poster? First of all,
well, I tell people they make great liner for bird cages.
Me.
But no, Mark's stuff is just so iconic, and he's such a cool dude. And he's fairly reasonable too. I mean, he's definitely gotten more expensive since he kind of blew up. But I had actually contacted Tim Jacobus, the Goosebumps artist, to do the cover for White Doomsday, and he sent me back a very nice email with a quote that had too many zeros on it. He was very, very cool though, and he's like, I know I'm expensive, but I've got a kid, and he offered to lower it a little bit, but I was like, that's more than that's half our budget, so I don't think we can do that. But one day,
Yeah, one day for
I'll
sure.
stick with Mark because he's cool. And Nathan did the artwork for the board game, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he did. Yep.
He's another fantastic artist. I'm a big fan of his stuff too.
he did the shirt. Is the shirt like what I'm wearing?
Yep.
Yeah, I just changed my shirt.
Yeah.
Paid
No,
50 bucks for this.
Nathan, yeah, when we were originally, right before I found Mark, I was going to have Nathan do the poster art. It was like maybe a week before. So I started talking to him about it. And then I found Mark, and I really liked his illustrated look. It was very close to the dude. And then, but because I was already talking to Nathan, I was like, look, man, you have a very unique style, and we need somebody to do a board game. Is this something you'd be interested in? He had never done a board game before, so he was excited to be a part of it. And I think he knocked it out of the park. I mean, literally, I said, we gave him a template of what we wanted. And I said, just make it look like a super fun Halloween fucked up Candyland. And then he was like, all right. So he did it. And I gave him a lot of stuff to cover, like with all the characters and all the pieces and all that stuff. So it's been a good seller. So
Is that still available?
yeah, we still have, I think in stock we have like 3 right now. We don't keep too many because they're really expensive to buy and then like just sit in my house. So I wait till I get close to like 1 left and I reorder like another like 6
How
or
much
7.
are they anyway?
They are, I think they're $60 on our site, but they cost us like $42. So there's like,
I figured it was probably a lot to get a custom board game made.
it is, yeah. There's not much money in it, but for the people who are fans of the movie, it's nice to give them something. I can't give it away at cost. I got to make something of it.
Now, was it always the plan when you first came up with the idea for the barn? Or, well, not the first, but when you actually started rolling on the movie, was the rest of the marketing, like the board game, the video game, was that stuff? Were you planning to do that already, or was that as the project gained momentum, you decided to go into those?
No, the marketing was a last-ditch effort as the movie was falling apart.
Oh, wow.
We had shot. I don't know, about half of the movie, and the original DP that I had, I should have watched the dailies, but I just didn't because we were shooting like 16-hour days in a row, and I just really trusted them. And then when the movie was done, as much as we could get done, because there were just so many setbacks, when I sat down and brought it in to start editing it, I was like, wow, this is pretty bad. Like, it's really underlit or it's out of focus.
Yeah.
So we had to start going back and reshooting it and then finishing what was left. And at that point, I was just sitting there going, this movie's bleeding money, and I'm never going to make it back. And so I started thinking, like, what am I going to do to get this movie out to the masses, one, but then make it stand out so that people pay attention to it and I can have a chance to make the money back because we went way over budget. So that's when I started thinking about all of the stuff that I wanted to do as a kid, because I was always like artistic, but I always wanted to make my own video game, but I didn't know how to do it. I always wanted to make my own board game, but I didn't know where to go to have it made, or I'm not that great of an artist to do something like that. So as we were sitting there, I was like, you know what, going along with, the kind of film I'm trying to put out, I started thinking about how, like, Freddy Krueger, how they capitalized on everything with that, how at one point there was children going to bed with Freddy Krueger dolls, and I'm just like,
I have one.
squirt guns, and I started thinking, I'm like, well, this is the perfect kind of movie to have this kind of marketing where it wouldn't feel forced. and it would feel like natural to it. And that is exactly what brought all of the attention to it, especially when we did the Indiegogo, where people were like, this movie, it's an 80s film. They've got action figures and a board game and a video game and a vinyl and cassette. And, and it did exactly what I hoped it would do. But that wasn't the intention from the get-go. It wasn't like, this is the plan. It was like, what's going to be the plan now so I could sell this thing and make some money back, but it worked. So I'm really happy.
It's kind of a ballsy move, and it really seemed to have paid off really well, because I thought the merchandising idea was very original.
Yeah. No, it was a risk because we probably put like $7,000 into the marketing, like the inventory of like the DVDs and then all the merchandise and then going to conventions and film festivals and all that. So, on top of the cost of the movie and then all of the marketing, I could have easily took myself even further into debt. Yeah.
Now, what was your initial budget? Was that raised through a Kickstarter?
My question.
No, I borrowed it. I did a loan, and I thought I could shoot the whole movie for like less than 30,000, and then when it was all said and done, it was like 40. Yeah, just because of the reshoots, and everybody was paid. Like every actor was paid, every crew member. And then when we came back for the reshoots, they knew that I just didn't have it. And so the crew members that wanted to be there, that were there to help make a movie and not make a paycheck, they came back for free. The actors came back for free. And it was basically they wanted to see the movie get completed because they believed in the movie and they believed in me. And they knew it was such a, it wasn't just to make a movie to make money. It was to make a movie because I had a goal and a dream to always make this movie. So very much, people supporting me and wanting to see me, get it all done and put out there. But the reason we were able to finish was because we did the Indiegogo, when we were going back to do the reshoots, and we raised like $27,000 to take care of all that. So yeah, if it wasn't for the crowdfunding, the movie wouldn't have got finished. And I probably would have put it out, but I don't think I would have had the success that I had because of the crowdfunding.
I bet you could do a lot better a second go around on with crowdfunding with the success of it this time. And you got a lot of people who, I know a bunch of people that would support it for sure. But yeah, I'm glad it got made.
Yeah, I've told people, because I get it all the time if there's going to be a sequel. And I told them the movie was so hard. If you would have asked me a year ago, I would have said no. I'm not going to go back. The barn's a dark place. I'm not going back to it. But you know what? It found an audience, and I found a lot of people that genuinely care and like it. That I've said that if I was going to do it, I would do it purely through crowdfunding, all or nothing. If we make the goal, we make the movie. If we don't, then we don't. Because the first movie I made for myself. It was just, if people liked it, they liked it. If they didn't, whatever. It was for me, and I got to make the movie I always wanted to make. I would love to tell a sequel, but at the same time, I was so fortunate to get out of debt with the cost of the movie that I can't revisit that, and take another risk. Nah. So yeah, definitely, that would be the only way I could do a sequel is through crowdfunding.
So I want to ask you. So the barn was something you came up with as a kid, right?
Yeah.
So did you get to put everything in it from when you were a kid, or is that something that you may have saved some things for a sequel?
No, not everything wasn't in the first movie. I saved parts of it to continue, because there was I actually wrote 3 stories, and the third one followed just Chris, and it was a completely different kind of movie. But Chris didn't make it through this one, so that's that. But no, there was a whole other second movie or second book that I wrote, but I left things out of the first movie to carry over into the sequel. So, I'm really excited. I hope I get the opportunity to do it, because it would be great to come back and work with these actors again. And because I didn't know anybody initially, this was all through casting, and none of the people that were hired, other than a couple of the friends, everybody was all through talent agencies, and and
So
now we're like a family. So it'd be
how did you come across the stunt boobs?
The stunt boobs, yeah.
There were some boobs, right?
Yeah. There was the insert of the boobies, and that was fun because we didn't want to scare off anybody coming into the auditions initially about that. So we were very upfront. We said, look, you could choose to do this if you want, but you don't have to. But just know the way it's going to be shot is it's going to look like it's you. But every person that came in, they were fine with that. They weren't necessarily into being completely topless. But we did it. And it was awkward. It was awkward shooting the sex scenes in the tent, like cutting holes through the tent, and sticking a lens through it. Very.
We've all been there. I mean, am I right?
Yeah.
And not while making an actual movie for other people.
Yeah. So did you shoot this full time? Was this were you salaried on this film? And then you just kind of shot like 5-6 days a week, or was this like a weekend thing?
When we shot the original stretch where we thought we could just make a movie, we shot for like 12 days straight.
Okay.
And then after that, then it became, when we all came back, it was like weekend shoots.
Yeah.
That's why it ended up, we thought we could have it shot like basically in a month. And it ended up taking 2 years. That's
exactly how Doomsday was.
It's just what happens. And plus, most of the movie takes place outside. I live in PA, and it's like winter, which it's winter all the time. It's very hard to do something, that's because we originally shot the movie in fall, and that fall turned into winter like within a week. So it was very, very cold. And then when we came back for reshoots, we started shooting in the summer, and it was like a blistering hot summer. So
it's one or the other.
Yeah. And it was just tough. It was just really tough. So, it turned into that 2-year stretch to get it. We shot it in October of 2013, and we premiered it in October of 2015. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's real indie filmmaking, though.
I learned a lot.
I don't know anything about it, but
I learned a lot of what not to do, who not to work with.
Oh yeah, it's the first thing you do is always a learning process.
That's why I tell Zane the DP who came in and fixed everything with us. I tell him, I said, man, you were like the most expensive friend to make, because he came in with that crew, and he was like the only person from that crew that actually was there because he enjoyed what I was doing, and he kind of separated himself from that crew, and I got rid of all of them and he stayed. So part of me was always like, if I wouldn't have brought in certain individuals, I wouldn't have went overboard, but then I wouldn't have met Zane, and we wouldn't have made the movie that's out there now.
Yeah.
So I tell him he's the most expensive friend I have.
So let me ask you this then, with that going into a possible Barn 2, you think it'll go a lot faster in shooting, or do you think it'll take it 2 years?
Oh man, no, I hope it goes.
Maybe release date. If you said, okay, I want the Barn 2 ready for October 2019. I got a chud creeping in, so sorry.
No, I would say if I could do the crowdfunding here shortly, I would like for it to be out by no later than like October of 2020. Would be my the late goal. But it all just depends. I mean, right now I'm working on treatments and getting the script together, and it's tough to because it's not a certainty it's going to happen. It's also really hard to do a lot of pre-production for something, especially like special effects and everything, and then you may not raise those funds, and you got all the stuff sitting there. So yeah, it's I would like to be filming next year if I can raise the money. That would be the goal. Yeah.
So now is the Barn 2, like, if you, in a perfect world, what project would you be tackling next? Would it be the Barn 2, or do you have something else that you've been?
I would do the Barn 2 just because it's still current and I can still, play off of what's going on. I will tell you right now, we were saying earlier, the Barn came out at a perfect time. It came out into the festivals, but then when I started selling it, it came out right around the time of Stranger Things. And it kind of like all this retro stuff resurfaced, and it really helped. It really helped it out. So I figure I better hurry up and get the second one done pretty soon while Stranger Things is still here.
Yeah, cause that's still the retro nostalgia thing is going to be, it's still going on strong. Probably
before
will.
people get burnt out on it, you know.
Eventually, maybe. I don't know if I will. Maybe I will. I don't know. But yeah, my daughter was just in here. I told her I had it on mute, but I told her I was like, "Hey, he made the barn." She's like, "She did? I like that movie."
Yeah,
Both my kids have seen it.
yeah,
I remember at Days of the Dead when I met you, and I was telling you guys that how much my kids like horror movies because they do. They're big Freddy and Jason fan.
Mhm.
And you said your movie was safer for kids, and I was like, "What about your movie?" To Jonathan Straighton.
yeah. No,
And he's like, "Nope, you shouldn't show your kids my movie."
no.
It was true. I watched it a couple days after that.
Yeah, well, don't let your kids see Night of Something Strange.
No, they got to be 17.
Yeah,
Lex's reaction to that movie was fucking hilarious. Because I picked it up at Scares the Care because I was hanging out with Jonathan. I was like, I've been hearing about this fucking movie like all over the place. So I finally picked it up and I was watching it with Lex, and the look of horror on her face the whole just so wonderful. And needless to say, I didn't get any action for a couple days. She was too really disgusted.
Yeah. Zombie STDs, you know.
Yeah, you know.
Did you guys just end up with the booth next to each other, or was it planned that way?
But we planned it because
Okay.
I've been to a few film festivals, and we were touching on this before when this started. They were very cliquey, and it was very competitive, and people weren't very friendly to you, and you were very much looked at like competition. So it made me not want to continue going to the screenings because I just thought I don't want to be there. Like I want to have fun. I want to meet people. I want to network. I'm not here to be pissed because you won an award and I didn't. And so when I went to Crimson Screen Horror Film Fest, John was down there with his group, and I got there just about like 20 minutes before his movie played. We were trying to get there as quick as we could because I wanted to see Night of Something Strange. So I watched it, and when it was over, I was like, I don't know if I should talk to this guy because this is really messed up. And I don't think of him, you know, maybe he'd be like a weirdo. So the next day when we came back for the awards, he was sitting outside with Ron Bonk and Trey Harrison and trying to think who else. Pretty much all the people from the movie that were down there with him. And I went up, I introduced myself, and I was just hoping that it was going to be, you know, civil and friendly. And he was such a nice guy. And we started talking about distribution and what festivals we're in. And immediately he started telling me, you know, well, make sure you do this or don't do this. Or, you know, if you have any questions, like hit me up, man. He's like, I've been screwed over. And I thought it was really cool. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't like he didn't want to tell me anything or just kind of like piss off. So we kept in contact, and as the festival circuit continued, we saw each other a lot, like New York Horror City Film Fest, and I'm trying to think where else. At least 3 or 4 times after Crimson, Nightmares Film Festival, and so then we just kept talking, you know, through Facebook, and then we'd have some phone calls and discussing, you know, how to do certain business things or what, you know, what we should do. And so when we started doing the convention circuit, we were like, hey man, I'm going to be here. Let's flip tables and let's just sit beside each other and promote each other's movies. So that's exactly what we did. He'd sit right beside me. I'd sit right beside him. If he sold a movie, he'd say, hey, make sure you check out The Barn, man. It's awesome. And I do the same thing. Make sure you check out Night of Something Strange. Like,
that's what you guys did to me, you son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Hard sell. That's what you got to do. See, that's really refreshing. Jonathan is a really cool dude. I met him at Scares the Carely, and then I met him. He was at Nightmares when we were premiering White Doomsday. He was playing House Shark.
Yeah.
And that Nightmares Film Festival, and you were telling me the Crimson Screen is like this. They're very friendly, like, you know, people don't look at each other as competition, and it's really refreshing to see filmmakers that are willing to help guide you through the pitfalls that they've gone through, because the indie film
should be a network of this.
Yeah.
Well, it's a giant minefield with all this stuff. Like, I'm learning the fest circuit too. Like, you get fucked over so badly, so many different ways. And like you said, it's very cliquey, and it's really nice to meet people that are very genuine, like yourself and like Jonathan. And I think that's really important for the survival of indie film.
Oh yeah, 100%. It was nice. At Nightmares is when the first time I got to meet Brooklyn Ewing and Jerry LaRue.
Oh my god, they're fucking fantastic.
And I'm trying to think. They watched they watched The Barn, and when they came out, we talked about it, and she was asking me questions, and he was asking me questions, and I had got there early to make sure I could see she was so pretty, and I just told him, I said, man, you guys killed it, like just the overall look of the movie, and it felt dirty, and and I just was telling them their set design was great, and their costumes were great, and all. And she told me, she was like, wow, she goes, I'm really glad that we talked to you, because I just kind of figured with how successful your movie's been and all this, you'd be a real dick. I was like, so
that's kind of a backhanded compliment.
Yeah, no, but but it's true, because that's kind of what it feels like when you go to film festivals, and the people you think would be really friendly, they're not, and they do kind of have that vibe to them of like, well, I have a bunch of movies I've made and I've won, and
I'm sure there's a lot of jealousy over it too.
What's that?
There's probably a lot of jealousy with some of these indie filmmakers. They see The Barn, and how The Barn's, out of most of the horror, probably out of all the indie horror movies I've seen, probably has been received the best, and you've done way more with it, whether you've done it on your own or with whatever's going on with it, than most people are doing. I don't want to say names, but I know some people are jealous about it.
Oh,
a way to call me out, Ray. Jesus.
Yeah. Mike Lombardo. That's why we got you guys on the show, so you can game him.
Yeah, I get that vibe sometimes, and I've had a lot of people hit me up and ask me how I got the movie to sell so well, and and I just tell them, like, I really don't know. It's a lot of word of mouth, people telling people in groups, and just to check this movie out, and it really is just a lot of people that that they just like. I guess they like the movie I made, and sometimes I tell people, I'm like, you can't always make movies that are just torture porn or stuff like that and expect to sell a bunch of it to just a general audience. It's not, and not everybody gets into it to make money. I didn't get into it to make money, and it's been.
There's no money to be made.
Yeah. I mean, it's just
best case scenario, you're not in horrible debt.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, there is that sometimes, because that's where it starts to become more of a competition, is when you're selling stuff, and people are upset that they're not selling as many units as you, or they're not getting their movie out on certain platforms and certain stores, and But I've been trying to guide people. Like, I get hit up all the time, and I try to help people, put them in the right path, and I just tell them, like, I can't guarantee that you talking to these certain people will get you anywhere, but the least I can do is point you in that direction, because I think that John, he actually gave me faith that there were other filmmakers out there that I could trust, and wasn't going to, like, basically give you bad information to say, well, I got screwed, I'm not going to tell this guy, he can learn himself. And John was very much the opposite. He was like, dude, I did this, and this, don't do that. And I honestly took it to heart, and I didn't do any of the stuff that John said he did, and that screwed him over. So yeah, and that's all I really want is, making movies, is networking with people, finding like-minded people that are trustworthy, and we can work together, we can help each other out, that I can genuinely say, these people, you can go to this guy and he's going to give you good content, and he's a good guy to work with, and I can send actors to him, or he can send, or she can send actors to me, and that's why I urge any filmmakers that, there's a bunch of festivals that are good, but the two I would recommend the most is Crimson Screen and Nightmares. Even if your movie doesn't get selected, just go. It's a fun group of people, and it's gonna be well worth it just to be in the audience and the Q&As, and just to learn everything from everybody.
You get treated like family. I can second both of those recommendations. Like, really, and to new aspiring filmmakers, it sucks, because if you start off at Nightmares, like, you're spoiled, because the rest of them are not like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think that's a disclaimer, that should be said, is that's not how it is. And it's unfortunate, because I feel like there's a lot of film festivals out there that they cater to friends, basically, and they don't have a problem taking your money, and they're never going to play your movie. You can lose a lot of money in film festivals. So it's very, you should really talk to other filmmakers, that have screened at places, or look at their reviews on Film Freeway or Without a Box, and just see before you start submitting crazy to places.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because you can really sink some money into it and not get anything. Yeah,
your budget very.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, I didn't realize how much money it costs to just submit a movie to a film festival until I started talking to Mike.
Yeah, the festivals. I mean, on that, sometimes depending on which deadline, because there's the early bird deadline, the normal, the late, and then sometimes they have like an extended late deadline. If you're looking for a feature, sometimes you could pay up to $70 for a submission.
Well, and there's the risk of not getting accepted.
Well, the risk is, I mean, you've got like a 5% chance if you're lucky.
Yeah,
and it sucks. And, you gotta get a real thick skin because, it's constant string. It's waiting for 6 months, and then notification day comes, and then you get that rejection, and it feels like someone just pissed in your cereal.
Yep. Yeah, and the worst part is if you've ever tried to ask them, like, just for some feedback of, like, can you tell me, is there anything you can tell me that, why you didn't choose it, or I can know moving forward of why it didn't work for your festival, and they just don't respond.
Yeah.
Or I had one place tell me that they used to make notes, but they stopped making notes. So it's just like, oh, okay. I'm thinking, for as much money as I spent to submit, you could at least give me something. I'm not asking. I don't want to, like, I'm not trying to argue with you. I just would like to know, like, what did it?
Well, now that I'm on the other side of it, because I'm a judge for a couple festivals over the last 6 or 7 years, I can say the reason that they don't respond to that is because the filmmakers are so shitty. Like, if you're a rejection and then they start sending you angry emails, and if you respond, you're just opening a giant can of worms. Because if you said, well, we felt that the cinematography wasn't up to snuff, then they're like, what do you mean? And they flip out. And it's like, you asked for a critique.
Yeah.
Don't ask if you don't want to hear it.
And that's kind of what I figured. And who knows how many they actually have rejected, and if they respond to one and it gets out to somebody else, like, does that open up more?
Yeah. It's tough. The thing to remember, though, is that just because your movie didn't get in doesn't mean it's bad. There is 1,000 reasons why they don't pick it. Most of the time, it's runtime, what the particular theme of the festival is. These are all hard lessons to learn, but that's where, like you said, talking to other filmmakers and then doing your research really comes in handy, because you, just as Jason Thompson from Nightmare says, don't shotgun your submissions.
Yeah.
Because you blow through your bank account so fucking quick.
Oh, yep.
And it's, and then another thing is showing up to the festivals, you network, and that's a better way to get into other festivals too, is you learn, you get to meet people and you make connections and all that. So
yeah,
very good, a good thing.
What does that mean? Don't shotgun your submissions.
Don't just pick, don't go on Film Freeway, which is the biggest, or not the biggest, but the best festival submission platform.
Yeah.
Without a Box is terrible. But don't just go down the list. Don't type in horror festivals and then just pick the first one. Yeah. And it's very tempting to do that because there's so fucking many of them and it's so intimidating. But if you do that, you'll blow your money because Sorry, go ahead, Justin.
Well, I was just gonna say, there's that option when you're submitting and it says like add the protection for a percentage of whatever you're paying, like 50 cents or $1.50. I did that on just about every one of the ones I submitted to, and there was probably 6 or 7 fests that by the time it was time to do deadlines that they never responded, and I was able to get my money back because they just didn't do anything. They were just taking people's money, and I'm like, hey, I'm glad at the end of that I spent like an extra $30 in protection fees, and I didn't lose like 200 or 300 in submissions.
That's a good tip.
Yeah, because they will, man. There's people who just open up a festival and take your money and then just run with it. So
there's a lot of people doing that shit on crowdfunding too.
Yeah.
Well, what I was about to say is like you could submit to Mike Lombardo's filmfestival.com, and I'm not going to watch a movie. I'm just going to take your $25 and then go to Taco Bell. Or the worst thing I've seen
like a king for $25.
People they'll do a film festival. It's like it's a first-year festival. You got to be really skeptical because some of them are just looking for screeners to pirate, which is the worst thing.
Yeah.
Like, I'd rather them just steal my money, but don't steal my damn movie. Like,
yeah, that's
I mean, that's my next question. Actually, was how bad have you dealt with piracy with the barn? Has that been a problem for you guys?
Within the first month, yeah, it was out, and
I saw it on Pirate Bay. That was I saw the premiere on there.
Yeah, I mean, it was immediately like it was we were doing really well with sales, and then like one day it kind of like trickled down to like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
I was like, that's weird. And then all these people started messaging me on Facebook, and they're like, hey man, your movie's up on this site and it's on that site. So I started looking, and that was one of the days I was like, I filled up the bathtub with bubble bath. I laid in it, and I was like, oh well,
Put
here
the
it is.
warm washcloth on my chest.
Yeah. I looked over at Ray. I was like, Ray. But surprisingly, even though people were stealing it, people were coming and buying it. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I tell people there's this. I think there's this misconception that people think physical media is dead. People don't buy DVDs. They don't buy Blu-rays. They don't buy VHS. It's the complete opposite. They're more collectors than anything. They're people who want to hold it. They're people that miss the video store.
Yep.
That's all of us, I think.
And I've kept the barn off of digital, you know, on platforms just because I just don't see the point of investing in that right now.
You don't do VOD at all?
No. And because here's the thing, if they have the ability to get on the internet and take a moment to type in where they can buy it, and they can also type in where they can steal it, they're going to just steal it.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Well, that was my question. As I talked to Jonathan Straighten about this at Night of Something Strange, and I believe he said the minute you go onto video on demand is the minute it ends up on Pirate Bay.
Oh yeah, like
it's so much easier to steal it off of a digital if it's already a digital file.
Well, yeah, within the first day of John being out, it was somebody had ripped it like a 360 rip, 360p rip of it, and it was just like a little block, you know. But still, it was up, and I know that really was upsetting to John because he was one of the individuals that was like physical's dead, so he put everything into digital, and you know, it was bad. So so that was the one time I got to be like, hey John, I was right. I tried to give you some info, you didn't. But
you know, I mean, we're all of us here at the Syndicate are definitely in the physical media camp.
Yeah.
Like we're all collectors.
Yeah, I've double dipped on the barn.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people that I didn't. You know, I wish from the get-go I would have done Blu-ray, but it was expensive to do like real replicated discs, and the risk was there. And so it was nice that the movie sold well enough that when I invested in Blu-ray, that there was a lot of people that came back and bought it again. And
yeah, I'm happy you did the Blu-ray because, you know, the DVD I bought from you, but I was able to get a Blu-ray with that. It has the reversible cover, so
yeah,
I get the best of both worlds. Plus, I think the Blu-ray, does it have more features?
Yeah, the Blu-ray has more features. We did a whole making of. There's like an hour making of, and the bloopers and
The gag reel.
Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff on that, and it's also a different cut of the movie. That's more of the cut that the festival enjoyed. Faster pace. The DVD was the Indiegogo version. It was an extended cut. It was like the full movie. And that was one of the things I learned going through the festival and listening to some people's feedback, and they were saying that, you know, there were some pacing things or they didn't think this was necessary. And so I altered the cut midway through the festival screenings, and I realized that after I altered it, it got way better reception from judges and the audience when it was more tight, you know, and it was less chatty and more action. So that's
more
what
more crisper.
So when is the DVD going to come out that has the Horror Syndicate's quote on it? That's what I'm wondering. I'm seeing all these other quotes on here. I'm done.
So, it's in the commercial.
I know.
It's in the commercial.
I was just thinking,
I'll get it on another pressing.
you know,
You self-distributed the film, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So if I could touch on this, actually, I was telling you how a lot of people reach out to me, and they just ask me like, how do you market things, and how have you been having such good sales? Because
you make a good movie. That's how. So sorry.
I mean, that's definitely a huge part of it, and it just so happens to be the case here. But that doesn't always guarantee sales, unfortunately.
No, it doesn't. And we put the movie out in November 26th or 27th of 2016, and like a week or so ago, we reached 500 days of straight sales. And
Fantastic.
by straight sales, there was a barn movie has sold every single day, a minimum of And that's something I never thought was possible. And we've almost sold 8,000 copies between DVD, Blu-ray, and VHS.
I guarantee if you were to start a Kickstarter or a GoFundMe for The Barn 2, even right now in pre-production with, just the idea of it, I guarantee you, if you set a goal for like 500,000, you will reach it in like a week.
It disappears.
But I'm serious though, because your movie is just flooding like every horror page out there, and it was for the longest time. It still is. Like they're like, oh my god, can you go ahead?
Well, I was just saying, I hope that the people that appreciate it and have supported it, I hope they come back, because that's really the only reason I would make a sequel is for them.
Mm-hmm.
If you put out a perk for a walk on roll, I would do that.
You just walk on and then just walk right off.
Yeah, just walk through.
I want to be like in Phantasm when the tall man just walks by while Reggie's getting his ice out or whatever.
There you go.
Walk through roll.
A swaying tree is what we call it in the theater.
I don't know. I make comics, not movies.
Yeah,
not yet.
We asked you the bathtub scene.
Well, listen. Okay, we got the screener sent to us. I was trying to make time to watch it without the kids because I didn't know what was going to happen. I was like, you know what? I had a hard day at work. Let me relax and watch a horror movie. And it was a screener. It was legit because you sent it the screener.
Oh yeah.
And, I mean, I thought about you the whole time, but
you draw a bath. Put some bubbles in, light a few candles.
I did Epsom salt.
It's something for you.
Yeah.
It's me. It's me.
Salt, bath salt.
Yeah.
And so now every time I watch it, I'm in the bath. I can't help it.
Then when I watched the Chud Blu-ray the other day, that's what I did. I nestled up in my cocoon, and I had my snacks out. I really did it up.
Did you watch my Chode Blu-ray, Mike? Did you like that?
It came out on Blu-ray. I found that went digital already. That got pirated. That was on RedTube.
I heard it was on LimeWire.
Now Justin gets to see the horror of the Horror Syndicate.
So to get back to the piracy thing real briefly here, when you discovered The Barn was on Kazaa, there's about 3 people that are old enough to know that joke that are watching.
Oh my god. Was that before or after LimeWire? I don't remember.
That was before. That was right after Napster.
But
I was going to say, yeah. I haven't thought about that in years.
Did you try to get it pulled, or did you just say, you know what, it's going to happen?
I did. There was this moment of like rage, and so I was spending probably, I don't know, 7-8 hours a day going through and flagging sites, turning them into different copyright, places on the internet where they can do pull downs. But every time one came down, 2 went up, and you eventually just go. You just have to go. You can't help it. This is the world we live in, and it'll destroy you. So, just I know they're out there. There's nothing I can do, and all I can say is I don't steal movies, so I can feel good that I'm
Yeah.
I constantly support other independent filmmakers. I'm constantly on Kickstarter and Indiegogo backing projects as much as I can afford. And I'm not going to just support anything, but if it's something I'm interested in or I believe in the person, I'm going to do it. But it can definitely, you can't let it get you down. There's really, when you look at a site and you see a Marvel movie is being stolen and put out there, if Marvel can't fight it, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no, exactly.
You know what I mean? So it does suck, and it sucks that I can't tell you how many conventions I went to where people came up to me and they're like, I love The Barn. I'm like, oh, cool. Where did you see it? Oh, I saw it on Cody. And I'm like, what?
You fucker.
It's unbelievable. They're like, oh, yeah, I downloaded it. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah, and it's like they don't understand that they're stealing it from you. Like, they think movies are made for free. And I don't think I think it's really just ignorance. And they don't. It's the world that people are growing up in today that they just don't. You're used to just getting whatever you want, and
they don't care.
I feel like it's a symptom of Netflix because people are like, they, you know, with White Doomsday, they're like, oh, when's it going to be on Netflix? I'm like, you mean when can you watch it for free? That's the question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Well, I wanted to be the guy who said I watched it first on VHS, but it's still in its wrapping. Go ahead, Mike.
no, so no, but it is frustrating. I've heard people argue that because there's no actual physical copy that they are taking, that it's not stealing, but
Oh no, it's very much stealing. I mean,
and like
Oh,
when
yeah,
you're working with a
for
budget
sure.
that low, like it really can ruin you. You know, it's like I don't get that.
and I think if anything, you know, if you have any kind of compassion for artists or anything for the arts, especially when it comes to indie films, that's the last movies you should be stealing. You know, I mean, those are made by fans for fans.
Mhm.
I'm not
You don't have
condoning
money.
it at all, but you can't sit there and say, you know, Hollywood mainstream sucks. I wish they'd make more of these kind of films, but then you're the person stealing it. You know, it's very very frustrating, and you know, but like I said, there's a whole group of individuals out there, and thankfully a lot of them have supported the movie that actually they buy it, you know, and they have it on their shelf, and you know that helps me get money put back to what I spent because, as you know, Mike, it's not cheap, and you know, not every even if your entire cast or crew comes for free, you're still spending money in gas. You're spending money in your own time away from work, or you know, paying or feeding people, you know, or rentals or whatever. I mean, yeah, it's a hobby for sure to some degree, but it still costs you, you know.
No, absolutely. I don't
All
think
good,
people
all good hobbies cost money. Hey, off the topic.
Yeah.
Janet Swan said, "I love the theme song by Rebel Flesh. Can you talk a bit more about the soundtrack?"
Yeah, so well, Rocky Gray did the whole score, but as far as the soundtrack with the bands, I started reaching out to just a bunch of different bands that were coming up on Facebook, and one of the people that hit me up was a guy named Mike Dempsey, and he's the drummer for Rebel Flesh. And he saw the poster, and he was like, you know, we could make you an original song, and I was like, yeah, that'd be cool. So in the meantime, they gave me a song called Moonlight Murder, which is about the town that dreaded sundown, and that's the song that plays when they're in the van. You know, you see the aerial shot. But then they ended up doing an original called Harvest, and we shot a music video, and it's on the bonus features of that. But Rebel Flesh is awesome, and if you've never heard of them or heard their music, if you're into like the Misfits, then you would really dig this band. Great guys. They've got like 4 or 5 albums. I think another one's coming out. Listen to them. They're great. Very much horror themed. You definitely pick up on all the different their different songs have, you know, homages to other horror films like Texas Chainsaw Massacre and, like I said, Town Dread Sundown. But one of the things I was really happy about when we first started making the movie was I was able to get the right to a song called Mr. Cool, and it was in a Full Moon movie called Bad Channels. And there's a band.
Bad fucking channels, Brian.
Yeah, it's a band called Psychotic Symphony, and and they had a music video in that movie where they're dressed up like a cow and a nun playing a guitar. So when I saw that movie, I loved those guys, and I tracked them down, and I found, you know, they're no longer a band, but the rights were still out there. So I was able to get the rights and put it in the barn, and that's the music you hear in the roller rink, the Mr. Cool song when you first see it. So that to me was like, that was one of the first stages when we made the movie. I was like, oh yes, and I was like promoting the hell out of it. Like, you know, we had this band from Bad Channels that nobody knows, but I was so excited, you know. So and they actually,
so weird.
they had before they were Psychotic Symphony, they were a band called Dichondras, and they made a song called Gardeners from Hell, which I actually got the rights to for the end credits of the movie, which worked perfect because my 2 characters were gardeners. So I was like, right here it is. I got my ending theme song that was already made back in, like, I don't know, it must have been like 1988 or something.
Wasn't really? I thought it was made. That's awesome. I actually thought it was made for the movie because they called themselves was the Gardeners from Hell, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. So
I actually changed it after I got the song.
okay, that's what I was going to ask. Wow.
They really were called the Bushwhackers, and then I was like, I'll just throw it off the Gardeners from Hell, and I'll use it. So. But there were so many bands, and what was cool was as the movie went on and people started hearing about it, seeing the poster, then I actually had people coming to me asking if their music could be in it, and it became less of me tracking down people and like begging, and more people submitting. So, but a lot of it was due to Rebel Flesh because of Mike, and him like telling people to come submit their music to me.
Is the CD still available?
Yeah, I think we have like 20 copies left, and then after that, I'm done because CDs sell a little bit, but not enough to keep buying a couple hundred at a time and having sit in a room. So, but yeah, if you look on our website, there's a 2-disc CD. The first CD is all of the score from the movie. There's only like 17 songs on the vinyl because of how much it can hold, but on the CD, every track is in there, and then the second disc is all of the music of the artists, various artists as well.
You got lucky. That was part of the pack that I got.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff actually. When I went, that was one of the things I wanted to do. Was I saw on the Days of the Dead that I didn't know you were going to be there. I knew the barn would have a presence, and I went by the booth and I was looking for you and you weren't there. So I was like, I'll come back later to see if you're there. But you were there apparently.
Oh, were you there when I was dressed up like the boogeyman?
Yeah, because I saw him there, and I'm like, well, that's cool. They have one of the characters here, but where's Justin? So I left and came back. And what did I know?
Yeah, that was me. Well, I played him in the movie, and their prescription contacts, the scleras, their prescription for me. So nobody else could wear the glasses at the cons or the contacts at the cons. So I would do it. But it's like a nightmare because everybody wants to come talk to me, and I can't do it when I'm in that costume. It kind of gets weird when you're having a conversation and you're dressed like a monster. And,
I wish I would have taken the opportunity to get a picture.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I had the nachos earlier.
Yeah.
We do a lot of promotional gags like that at shows, and others have gas masks and stuff, and that's the problem. Is like you can't talk when you're like that. It's a pain in the gas. And it's like
plus, that's got to be really hot in that stuff. I mean, even the gas. I know gas masks are hot. I wore one when I was in the Army. I know that shit can get really hot, especially in convention halls. Those places.
I'm just
bloody.
covered in other people's sweat when I'm at convention.
Yeah.
I swear, every convention I go to is like a fucking sauna, and like the air conditioning can be on. It's nothing against people. It's just that there's a lot of us horror fans. I can't imagine what the comic conventions are.
They're called sweaties at comic conventions.
I stay away from comic conventions at all costs. I'm sorry, Ray.
No, comic convention. Let me tell you something. Going to last year was my big convention year. I went to the Star Wars Celebration. I'm a huge Star Wars guy. And then I went to a couple comic book conventions, and then I went to my 2 horror, which was Horror Hound and Days of the Dead. And I got to tell you, I'm in the comic book world, and I shouldn't say this shit, but comic book fans suck. They absolutely suck.
They were fantastic. They were everywhere on the internet after Infinity War came out. Like, now I know what happens in the movie.
I don't need to see that movie because of horror. Well, comic book fans just suck anyway. They're all assholes. They're all know-it-alls. Horror fans, for the most part, it's a community, and you see it here on the Horror Syndicate with us, or a lot of our new followers. There's more of an embrace. They're nice. They're not dicks. Like, I bumped into some guy at a comic book convention on accident, and he called me an asshole. I'm like, I bumped into somebody over at the Days of the Dead, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." He's like, "Oh no, man! Oh, cool shirt. I love Jason." I was wearing a Jason Live shirt, and I was like, "This is a fucking amazing." I was like on an all-time high coming off of Days of the Dead.
I've never seen so many fans of comics hate sexy cosplay. It's like sexy cosplay comes in, and it's like
you're wearing is a little much.
Yeah.
It's just like, as soon as sexy cosplay comes in the room, it's like snickering. And I'm just like, holy shit.
Because it's not accurate. That's why. They want accuracy, not sexy. It's stupid.
So now they can't fap at night? Is that
I don't know. That's why I want to get into making more horror comics than superheroes and all that stuff, because those guys are the ones that are jerk-offs.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I can say that because I know they're not going to watch this.
Mike, every time I see Mike at a convention, he does sexy cosplay, and no one yells at him.
Yeah, I wear my khaki shorts and a real splatter t-shirt.
No, I thought you wore
shadows under my eyes. I'm cosplaying
bloodstained apron with the mask of the flesh. I thought you were wearing that last time.
I do a lot of bloody apron masks and stuff.
You say with bags under your eyes.
Yeah.
I saw the most uncomfortable picture of you on Facebook yesterday.
Which one? There's a lot.
Yeah, there are a lot. It's kind of a blur. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It was a picture of the cover for Boneyard.
Oh,
I mistook that for you.
So, Justin, are you a fan of The Boneyard with Phyllis Diller? Have you ever seen that movie?
I saw it a long time ago. I can't remember if I liked it necessarily. I'd have to watch it again.
Okay. Just to ask, because there is a $15
Okay.
Blu-ray from Code Red that just came out that I've been promoting the shit out of.
I saw a lot of people promoting that.
It's a really, really fun movie. It's got some great makeup effects. There's a couple tragically silly moments towards the end that kind of spoil it a little bit, but it's a great movie.
I'll tell you what, Mom.
Really does not like it.
No, I haven't seen it. Okay, I'm just waiting for you to come down to St. Louis, cuddle up with me, and you know, Snuggie or whatever those things are called, and we'll watch it together, holding hands.
Would your bathtub fit both of us?
We could. You know what? I do have a big bathtub.
So actually, that's the other question I was going to say. Justin, do you have the barn bath bombs still, right? that were inspired by Ray's review.
Yeah. I used them when pirating happened. I just put them all in the bathtub with me.
You can market the barn characters, the monsters, with their heads on top of a tube of soap. You know,
I could do like the old real Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The barn bubble bath.
Man bubbles, and
Yeah.
The candy corn scarecrow bubble bath.
Yeah.
I really think that there's a what the fuck is that place called? A Lush tie-in waiting to happen here. I think you could do some stuff, all natural candy corn scented bath bombs or something.
Yeah.
Maybe for the barn too.
Maybe. I'll do it as a perk.
Yeah.
Forget the action figures. Get bath bomb.
Yeah, for real.
We'll see if I had the action figures, then I'd have to play with them in the bathtub along with my Kenner alien toys, just for authenticity's sake.
There you go. Yep.
And I'll tell you, my girlfriend hates when I do that now. Apparently, it's awkward. I was like, what? She goes to say something, and the gorilla alien squirts her in the face.
She must not be there if I'm not hearing her yell Michael.
What's that?
She must not be there. I don't hear somebody going, Michael.
Yeah, she's at work right now, I believe.
Oh.
Yeah, otherwise she would be. I'm just gonna have a tape recorder that just of her admonishing me that I can just play every time I say something.
To that magic button, Michael. Yeah, Joe, you're missing out on his girlfriend Lex walks through in a towel almost every episode behind him, and then if she does something kind of like off color, Michael.
Because we're doing the show every night when she gets back from work when she's over here, so she always wants to take a shower. And I tell her, I'm like, you realize this is live video behind, like you're walking behind me. No one sees it. I'm like, everyone sees it.
I miss it every time, so. It was a weird show. I'm sorry, Justin.
Stunt Lex,
All right. Is there anything else we want to? Who did the stunt boobs? That was the whole purpose of getting you on here.
Rachel Keslow, I think that's her name. I'd have to look again. I can't remember. I think it was Rachel Keslow was her name. But as far as I know, that's the only boobs. The only time she showed her boobs in a movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is she an actress or is she just?
No.
I'll take my top off.
Yeah, I mean that's basically what we. Yeah. She's not an actress now. Yeah, it's no. I don't. She had good boobs, and she was willing to put them up on the screen.
She had good boobs.
Yeah,
that's how I get cast in most of the things I cameo in.
Yeah.
How do you audition boobs?
Yeah.
It's very hard because.
I bet it was. Oh.
Well, because like if you see them and they don't look right, and you say never mind.
How many steps did you have to go through?
So you basically just go, oh, please don't have a B cup and a D.
So how many girls did you have to audition?
Just one, and we were like, that's good. We're rolling with it.
You're a good guy.
Tons. Have audition tons.
Yeah. But what I did want to say was we were talking earlier about the marketing and other, working with other filmmakers. So going back to 1031. I did self-distribution for the barn, and I've done very well for myself. I mean, I'm not rich, but I made my money back and I made money off of it, so I'm happy. Because I hear so many horror stories of people giving their movie to a distro and they never see a penny, and you know damn well that the movie's selling, and it's you know,
Exactly. Well, they charge you marketing fees. They're like, oh yeah, your royalty check. Well, we had the. Are you familiar with Dustin Mills?
No.
Okay, he's a filmmaker who did the Puppet Monster Massacre and the Hornet Sting and the Hell It's Caused, a bunch of movies. But he was telling a story on his page about a distributor that charged him for his own artwork that he had supplied.
Oh,
And I was like, fucking Christ, that's the scummiest thing I've ever heard.
Was it Trauma?
No. I wonder how Trauma is as a distributor these days. I'm curious.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just it. You hear all these horror stories. You hear how they'll tell you that they're charging you for some ad they did, and they charge you the full ad, and then you find out there was 2 or 3 other films on that ad with yours. So they're all being charged, and the guy's making the money. So, you know, I didn't want to take that risk, and I'm glad I didn't. But I've had a lot of people ask me, like, can you give me advice about selling movies on your own, and how do you do it, and, you know, what are the tricks and all that, and it, you know, how much time is involved. And I just told him, I said, I honestly spend like 4 or 5 hours a day taking care of sales stuff, like printing labels, packaging, shipping. It's definitely, it becomes a full-time job. And so I had people for like the last year asking me if I would just distro their movies for them, you know, because I'm an indie guy, and I'm pretty good with business. And I just said, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not getting into it. And then about mid January, I was working with Rocky Gray because I worked on 1031 with him, and he hit me up, and he was just he was doing the same thing. He wanted to do it himself to just make as much money as he could. And he just told me, he said, man, I really underestimated this. It's a lot more work than I expected. I didn't prepare myself for, you know, customer emails and packages getting lost and just all that stuff. And it became way more. And he realized very quickly he'd rather just be the filmmaker and have somebody else do it. So he asked me, he said, would you take care of my distribution? And because it was Rocky, I said, yeah, you know, I'll help you out. And we made an agreement for me to, you know, to get a percentage of sales and just handle all of it. And at the end, I just hand him a check. So thankfully, I don't know what he sold previously, but since I've been selling it for him, I've sent him a check every month since beginning of February.
Awesome.
And so that's been nice. So because of that, I started picking up other movies. And I was talking to Ray about this not too long ago, and I haven't revealed it yet, but I've been working on a release I picked up about a month and a half ago, and it's going to be coming out in June. I'm really excited. It's a movie that was out a couple years ago that got kind of got lost, and I don't think it got the love that people should have gave it. And the filmmaker had a hard time, and he just kind of stopped. So I was able to get a hold of him and get the rights, and now we're going to re-release this movie as a Blu-ray DVD combo. And I'm really excited. And I wish I could announce it, but it's not ready. It's not ready to.
I know what it is,
but so this is what I'm trying to do. So if you guys, you know, other filmmakers out there are watching, and, you know, I'm a little guy. I don't have a ton of money. I'm basically looking at 2 or 3 movies. Hey, come on, that's my cat. I'm looking at 2 or 3 movies a year. I've got one lined up for June already. I've got another one for right around Halloween, and I'm looking for one around November, December for Christmas. And that would end for this year. But, you know, I really, now that I'm doing this and I'm working with other filmmakers, I really want to hopefully change the way that distribution is looked at, and see that people can actually make money and get paid. Because there are just some people that aren't business people, and that's nothing against them, because it is hard. You know, you have to know how to invest your money, how to put the money into it. Thankfully, because of the success of the barn, I've been able to find good people to work with, keep costs down. You know, there's no inflated expenses and all that stuff. I know this whole sounds like a distro pitch, but what I'm saying is I want to work with other like-minded filmmakers, and I want to help them find success like I did. And doing so helps me make some money to continue my projects, keep my business going, and then, you know, and then open up doors for people that I wish that I could have met in the beginning to help me as well. So anybody who's interested, like I said, I can't guarantee I'm going to pick up your movie or whatever, but you can go to dreamteamreleasing.com and you can hit me up, you can email me, and we can discuss and, you know, just see. Because like I said, I've got one more slot open for this year, and then depending on how things go, I will continue next year because I'm as of right now I'm putting in between $3,000 to $7,000 per release, in inventory. So I can't go overboard, because
It'd be great to get a holiday type horror movie, wouldn't it?
What's that?
For the last slot, it'd be great to get like a holiday type horror.
Well, yeah, because I'm in October I have a whole Halloween themed film that's coming out, and then in November, December I'm looking for Christmas stuff. So,
ooh, I know a great Christmas horror movie that could definitely use some distribution.
I want Chud too.
Yeah, I'm talking about Chud too.
Actually, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, we're looking for distro for that.
And I was trying initially I was going to stay just with Halloween themed movies, but I'm really looking for anything Halloween related, anything that has a retro type vibe, and anything that's really just a good indie film. That's, obviously not so expensive that they're looking to make an enormous amount of money, but I will tell you that I do make money and I'm able to return the money, so that's good. If you want to talk to Rocky, you can ask him, and hopefully with the pre-sales that are going on for this new film, the next filmmaker can
Are you
validate.
gonna be able to put any of that into making the barn too?
Any of this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, whatever I can make back off of these sales. It either goes. The website itself, it costs so much money because of all the additional stuff that's in it, and it's expensive, and that's what I tell people. I'm like, to do what I do, there's a lot of money involved in the setup and just the running, the operation of it, and that's kind of what I learned was that having just the barn it was great for a while, and I'm still selling, but I'm selling a lot more barn now that 1031 came on. And I imagine that the next film I bring in will also bring in fans of that film, and then they will find 1031 and they will find the barn, and that will sell more. You know what I mean? So people can do it themselves. It's really risky, because you just don't know. And then I would tell anybody, try yourself, but that makes it really hard, when you invest more of your own money into your film and then it doesn't sell. Like, what are you going to do? So anyway, that was my little pitch for.
What was the site again?
It's screamteamreleasing.com. If you go to the barn merch, it'll take you there.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'll see. You won't see the new title yet. It'll be announced here in like May 24th when we have the inventory in stock. I'm really excited, and I'll be plugging it a lot because I really want this filmmaker's film to be seen, because it inspired me as a filmmaker, and to hear that it didn't do well was shocking. So I'm really hoping that the resurgence of this film coming back out will help him make his money back, because I was pretty shocked that he never made his money back.
It's what I want to see too.
Yeah. Well, Rocky and I were working on motion menus and stuff, and I'm really happy. I think anybody who watched it originally and its original release, they're going to see that we are fans, that we loved it. We put love into re-releasing this thing, and it's definitely a sweet Scream Factory type collector's release for this movie. So
it's awesome.
But yeah.
Very cool.
So anyway, now that that's out of the way, but
all right, so we're gonna wrap this episode up. But any last things you guys want to say before we start? Exiting the show. Not promoting stuff yet, but any final questions from those who are watching on Facebook? Please ask them now, because we are wrapping up tonight's interview with Justin Seaman. And Justin, if you could just stay on with us before we, before we all log out of this session, we'll not be live anymore, but just hang out with us for a few.
Sure, yeah.
Is my mic on?
Yeah.
Your mic, yeah, it's on now. Were you gonna say something?
I was just trying to piggyback on what Justin was pitching earlier.
Go ahead.
He's doing a really great service. You're trying to pay it forward to other indie filmmakers and making it easier to do things, and that's a really cool thing, dude.
No, thank you.
Yeah.
That's my goal. I hope it. Like I said, my intentions weren't to do it because I didn't want to be a distro guy, but I feel like there needs to be a distro guy for the smaller people like me, and I just really hope moving forward that I can help other filmmakers. So I appreciate that. I'm glad you understand what I'm doing.
Yeah, because we're all horror fans. I mean, we should be a community, even though it's not necessarily that way.
Yeah.
But in a way, we are.
Yeah, oh, yeah, for sure.
Plus, being a collector myself, and Jared and Mike and Brian are all collectors. It's fantastic, especially some of these older indie horror films that you see that you want to see, that you have an interest in. And now there could be a possibility like the one that we're talking about that I wanted to see when it came out and didn't have a chance to. And now the Blu-ray or DVD, it's like $30-$40 on Amazon or eBay or whatever. And now
all used. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, because you stopped me from.
Yeah. I was like, hold, save your money. I got a better one.
Like immediately, you jumped. You saw I commented on a post about it, and you messaged me. Hey, hold on, buddy. Don't buy it yet.
All right. Well, my name is Brian Enright. You can follow me here on Facebook at Brian Enright, or you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at The Horror Jew. Up next, Jared Letourneau.
Apparently, my mic's been out for like the last half an hour. I don't know. But you guys can find me at Jared Letourneau on Facebook or on the Twitterverse at @zombie_survivor. Justin Seaman, thanks for joining us, man. It was really fun talking with you.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm glad that you guys do stuff like this, and you give us an outlet to talk to people. And
Lost you for a bit, Justin. Sorry about that. You still there?
Did we lose him?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, he's moving again.
Your volume went out.
He might have glitched a little.
Oh, Arnold, I still see you.
But we'll get to you soon, Justin. Mike, where can we find you?
You can find me the dumpster behind McDonald's, where I'll be panhandling for the budget for the next movie.
I saw you today.
Pending that, you can find me on www.realsplatter.com on the World Wide Web. That's real with 2 E's, like a reel of film. And you can find
HTTP.
What's that?
You forgot HTTPS.
I don't use that anymore. You can find me at facebook.com/realsplatter. And you can also, we talked about this a lot on this episode, you can find me at the Crimson Screen Horror Film Festival in South Carolina. May 26th, we're playing White Doomsday at 1:30 p.m. that Saturday. So come out. We have a special guest who traveled all the way from the frozen north. I'm not going to spoil it, but we'll have someone with us. But yeah, so you can check me out there. Also, I'll have an episode of Hard Copy eventually, I'm sure.
Probably your Adam Marcus.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you very much, Mike. Our president of the Horror Syndicate, the man himself, Razor. Ray, where can we find you?
I decided I'm going to reveal where you can find me. Not the dumpster behind McDonald's, but the dumpster behind KFC. I love chicken.
And mashed potatoes and gravy.
Absolutely. You know what you need to do? This is what you do. You take the mashed potatoes and gravy, put a biscuit on top, put a little piece of chicken on top. Good to go.
And then pop out the cob and let it, sizzle out and flavor
KFC,
the water.
Well, KFC was my first job, so we tried all kinds of shit there. Anyway, what was I saying? Oh, @Razor_33 on Twitter. I never ever fucking do anything on there, but I have 500 some odd followers, so that's pretty cool. I do want to say something. We have Horror Syndicate T-shirts available for $15. I'm going to repost the link. I completely fucking forgot about it. We have
new
those
logo.
What?
New logo.
Yeah, I got the new logo created by Jay Sloan. All I had to do was give him a high five. And then what else? There's some. Oh, the brackets. We're our final bracket until sometime in July. Justin, is it bothersome to see these brackets popping up, these matchups?
No, man, I like it.
I see you voting on them. I've seen your buddy Zane is popping up on them too. That's fantastic.
And Rocky too.
It's fun, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I appreciate people actually following us now.
Yeah,
but yeah, that'll be coming to an end, and we'll do another one in July and in October or something like that. We're gonna do an all barn bracket, so the barn will win it all. We actually, Justin, I wanted to tell you, my brother-in-law, when he helps me create these brackets, when we did the non-sequel bracket, we wanted to put the barn in there. He said, you should put the barn in there. And I said, I'd love to put the barn in there, but I don't know how many people have seen it. I felt like an asshole, but also I didn't want, to put it up against something like Halloween 3, which won that bracket.
Yeah.
And you could vote, so maybe next time.
What you do before the next bracket, just post the BitTorrent link.
Yes. We're going to just stream it live on our Facebook page. What are you talking about?
LimeWire update 10.0.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Justin, for coming on. I think I'm done rambling now. I don't think I'm other than kids, so.
All right. Thank you very much, Ray. And last but not least, feel free to shamelessly plug away Justin Seaman.
You can find me on Facebook at Justin M. Seaman. I will be at Days of the Dead in Charlotte, North Carolina on May 17th through the 19th, I believe. And Linnea Quigley will be there too. So if you come to visit me and get some barn stuff, make sure you visit Linnea and she can sign all your goodies.
Oh, she's going to be there?
Yeah.
Oh, I got to go now.
Yeah.
Doomsday is playing Friday night at midnight. You should check it out.
I want to be your handler there.
I think 1031 plays right before you, so I'll be there for that.
Fucking shit. Yeah, that's the one days that I can't make.
Well,
We're going to the next week. But yeah, check it out. That'd be awesome.
And then I believe it's sometime mid-July, maybe July 10th or something. We have Gross Fest. It's a new horror convention in Washington, Pennsylvania, that I will be a guest at along with Zane Hirschberger. So that's where you can find me here in the next 2 months.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Justin. Thank you, everyone who has been watching the show tonight. Great response from everyone. I really appreciate all of your questions, and everyone have a safe rest of your evening. Thank you very much, and have a good night.
Ciao.